day. I'm shaking when I heard the news.
Fair enough. That's awesome. Did you have to apply for that? How did you get into that?
Yeah, bro, 2 million people almost applied, or at least responded to the link. I don't know how many were actually qualified to apply because there were some stipulations. Hold on, unplug these headphones in. Okay, testing. Yeah, because there were some stipulations. But yeah, there's 1,000 contestants, and I'm one of them. And the thing is, too, there's probably even less contestants who applied that were able to go. Because I have a buddy, Tanner Charles. He's a storm chaser. If anybody's into that, you could look him up. He was on the 100 million subscriber episode. And so he told me that anybody who's ever been on Mr. Beast episode as well got to basically, do you want to come, yes or no invite. So the application was probably even less than 1,000 people that he selected. Yeah, dude, I got the call today. I was my mind was blown.
For sure, that's fair enough, man. Wild. Don't hate me, but I've actually never seen a Mr. Beast video, which is unexpected. I'm probably the prime demographic.
Congrats, man! Congrats.
Thanks, man.
Alright, well, let's give it a couple more minutes for Simon to get here. We just got out of a meeting about PG, so yeah, lots of stuff about the new update and things. Can't really discuss most of it, but some exciting things.
All I want to know is y'all gonna fix Lancer? Please fix Lancer, please. Please.
Oh, the Glam Man's here.
Hey. Please.
Oh, look at all the special guests, Barker. This new time frame could be pretty popular.
Yeah,
this is
much better.
This is the time right here.
Wow. Cool. Did you start without me?
No, of course I'm waiting. Never. Just listening to Richard.
All right, here we go.
I love that intro. It always puts me in the most energetic mood. Let's go! Ooh, how's it going, everyone?
Let's go!
Let's go! Alright. So, yeah, today's Starside Chat is going to be, I don't really have an agenda for this one, I'll be honest. This one's kind of a bit of a, I don't know, a Q&A. You guys ask me Qs, I answer As. And yeah, it should be pretty chill. I know there's a lot of questions going around, and Mr. NFT has already started us off with one of the Lancer questions.
Yes.
So,
Please. He's too small. Assault is too small. If he pulled up, I wouldn't even be scared of him. I'd be like, man, listen, where's Buster?
Fair enough. Look, the sniper rifle isn't going to be coming back in the same way next update. We are still working on a couple of the issues that the sniper sites were giving us. I am unsure when the sniper rifles will be returning in its former glory, but hopefully it'll be sometime soon. I can't really give an ETA because there's just a couple of issues that are surrounding the scope, and yeah, that's realistically the only reason why the scope wasn't taken out, is just because there's been some strange behaviours that occur because of it, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get it back in at some stage. No timeline for the Lancer scopes though. But yeah, everybody start throwing me some questions and let's get into it.
Hey, so I'll start off. Are you guys planning on fixing the size of the mechs?
So the scaling, I believe that we're going to be looking into changing the scaling up a little bit, but we do want to have different scales for the mechs because that kind of makes sense. Like, I think one of the big things is it didn't really make sense to have all the mechs the same size, right? They have different purposes, they have different designs, so we're changing the scales of them a little bit. I don't believe that'll be coming in the next update.
I definitely agree with that, Like even before, like a year ago, I was saying like, you know, the scaling should be a little different, but that's way too small. Like I feel like they shouldn't be that small. Like, you know,
Yeah, so I think that we'll be looking into changing up the scale again in the future, but it isn't planned for the next update. I would probably say that it's a couple updates down the line kind of thing, because we're still focusing on the patrols, right? So the next big update is going to be really big for patrols. Um, I would probably say that there's the most exciting additions to it so far. Last update, you saw new objectives, etc. This time, you're going to see even more development on that. You're going to see a new map. You're going to see a load of new things. So, yeah, we're excited because hopefully this one will be much more replayable, give you a bit more of a different, um, give you a bit more of a different challenge each time. So that's kind of the main focus of this one. But it's great. We're developing it past the initial foundation quite a lot in these last couple updates. So keen to see where we go from here.
Any
Hey,
like
on that same note, can I just ask, are you guys looking into potentially changing the rewards up so that there's an incentive for multiple avatars for patrols, or is it just still going to be like capped at 3 a day for an account?
I can't particularly comment about that. I believe design have been looking into ways to incentivize having multiple avatars and starfighters, because obviously that's one of the big things, right? The community, they've got loads of different avatars, and we want to also encourage people to purchase more avatars and starfighters in the future. So we're looking into ways of incentivizing that, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Is right now there aren't many real reasons to be buying multiple avatars or starfighters, so we're looking into ways of incentivizing it. And I'm sure, sorry, got distracted by a message. Yeah, I'm sure that we're going to be looking into ways of getting patrols to kind of play into that as well. Beardy McBeardface asked, are there major changes that are unpopular with folks on the Discord player server play tested by anyone outside of BFS before they're implemented? Incentivizing having any of the NFTs at all at this point would be nice. Two different things. Okay, so I don't believe they're played by anyone outside of Blowfish, right? Because the whole idea is that we implement these changes, it goes through QA, they say, yes, the changes you have implemented are in and they're working, or they're in and they're working but there's this side effect, and then we go, okay, green light, unless there's something game breaking, and then we go, okay, we'll have to delay it a couple of days, blah blah blah. And then realistically it goes out to you guys so that you guys can test and give us feedback, etc. Right? That's kind of the whole point of early access, is giving the players a chance to have their feedback and help mold the game. So the unpopular changes that I'm assuming you're talking about then, Beardy McBeardface, include the recoil and the bloom. So those decisions were made by design. They then go to dev develop the systems, and then QA go in, they say, yes, this is working, no, this isn't working, then it may go back to dev, and then dev will go, okay, time to fix whatever issues, and then they send it back to QA, and then QA go, okay, perfect, we've done it, and then they may give feedback back. So a lot of the feedback that the community have said, QA did flag, and unfortunately the decision was sent out to go forward with it. But I think a lot of the design people weren't aware of how big the reticles, etc., were getting before giving it the green light to be sent out. So yeah, I think that gives you a little bit of an insight as to the role of QA, because QA gets a lot of kind of fingers pointed at them saying, why aren't they ixnaying this? Why aren't they saying, no, don't send this out? It's not really up to QA, right? QA are just the people that make sure that it isn't game breaking and kind of give an analysis on what the actual things do. It isn't their job to make decisions, I suppose.
I think Mika's question kind of plays along with that, but if I could add to it, since we're on the Q&A subject here, there are things that Q&A is missing that are major that you you would notice literally immediately. Like there are things that are like you can't auto level anymore by double tapping Q or E. That was eliminated. I'm sure that was unintentional. The 3D, 2D boost, you said that was unintentional. That's completely gone out of the game at this point, right? There are things that just were eliminated out of nowhere. In addition to those things, are there any like quality of life updates that are coming to the thing, like XP bar, tool tips, things that would help with onboarding or just with general gameplay?
Yeah, so QA, they test this. Sorry, Rich, there's a bit of echo in your mic. Kind of distracting me. But yeah, so basically what's happening, right, is QA, they see those issues and they make the reports, right? And then for other reasons, those things may go out, or it's kind of one of those things where there may be pressure for us to be releasing an update, so therefore we have to release something. And the QA kind of look into it, and I think that a lot of people have been blaming QA when in reality there's a lot of external reasons why these things are happening. So yeah, there's a lot of playability testing before release. There's a lot of feedback from QA that I see that are literally mimicked in the community. Like a lot of the things that everybody sees, they flag with the team, and then it comes out, and I may as well kind of like just see what the QA. I kind of use the QA feedback as like a a little mini test to see what the community is going to be saying. So yeah, and quality of life things, we're going to be focusing on that a lot as well. So those are the two main focuses of the next update. You're going to be seeing improvements for patrols. You're going to be seeing lots of gameplay improvements, such as fixing the dodge and the boosting. And you're also going to be seeing... I can't give you too many more details because realistically, you know, these lists are always subject to change, and I don't want to be saying that we're going to be sending out all these things and then all of a sudden the update comes and those things are missing. But you know, things like XP bars as well. Leak of the week! Glam, play it! Play it! Play it!
Big Dog Barker's leak of the week.
Yeah, so the XP bars are definitely, well, again, they are planned on the implementation. We've already got UI, we've already got dev looking into it, and it's looking like that's going to be in the next update. So yeah, I think that's the big thing, right, is a lot of these things we've been working on in the background for a while, and you know, we do intend to release them, but we need to make sure that they, you know, work, and some things get left out of the updates because there's already too many things that we're putting in there, and we need to kind of limit the scope so that we can do more QA testing, more rigorous QA testing, etc. So yeah. But yeah, STC, I'm glad Glam put that in the chat. But yeah.
Hey, I'm just going to jump in here, and if that's okay,
Go for it.
and just give our QA team a massive rev up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I know that they're not visible to the community, and yeah, it seems logical to, you know, when things aren't the way that they could or should be. It's easy to go, well, how did that get through? It's like quality control at a factory or something like that, right? You know, if a product leaves and it's not as good a quality as it could be, you go, well, their quality control is rubbish. But our QA team, before joining Blowfish, I've never experienced anything like it. They are highly professional, highly committed. These are the guys and girls that are there past, you know, everyone's going home on a Friday night, right? Or going to the pub, and they're still there. Yeah, keep in mind that, you know, their job is in some ways artistic, but a lot of ways very methodical too. So they'll be given a list of, you know, what to check and in which scenarios and all that sort of thing that they have to do. They're the first ones there on a Monday morning. They are highly committed, and again, not visible to anyone other than us in Blowfish, but really, really, really good human beings that just want to put out the very best game, and it doesn't always go that way. And sometimes that's to do with features or things that have to meet a specific timeline or a specific deadline in order to be ready for something else that is or isn't coming. And I just don't think we've really given QA enough love. So I'm just.
I don't think QA is really the people that the community is pointing the finger at. If we were pointing it at anybody, I think Mika's right. I think most of us are questioning game design. You know, when we as a community have said, dude, let's get some XP bars in here, let's get some tooltips in here, let's throw some extra content, let's maybe not focus on just patrols until we have game balancing mechanics or respawn. Like, because let's be honest,
you see how that's a big list. That is a massive list of all those things that you've just said. Like,
but what I'm saying is none of those got handled. We haven't seen any of that. Instead, we get an update and it was Bloom and RNG and Recoil, and everybody was like, "Wait a second,
and
this isn't anything."
I think that the Bloom and Recoil really overshadowed that update. There were a lot of new things that were done with the patrols, a lot of things that were done in the back end that facilitated the new things that are going to be coming up in the next update for patrols. And, you know, the global chat, that wasn't a simple thing to add in. And I think that's one of the big things, right, is like, yes, the Bloom and the Recoil, the values were incorrectly inputted. But I think that realistically, we have been listening to your concerns and we've been trying to add these things in, but these things it takes a lot of time to get them in. So we've been working on Recoil and Bloom for a while now because it's the part of the way that combat we wanted to design the combat to feel as though you're I'm not sure the exact way that Liam put it, but you add an extra level of challenge to the combat. But obviously we put in the wrong value. Well, it wasn't the wrong values, too high values, and we also had some issues with the reticules. So that also led to the Bloom being appearing even more excessive. So I think, like, I agree and I hear with what you're saying, because I know that nobody really has requested that feature in particular, but it was something that, you know, has been in the works for a long time, and it wasn't something that we just implemented because we had a whim and decided that, oh, this is the best way to go forward. You know, 1 month, let's focus on this. It was something that, you know, the dev team has been developing for a while, and the design team have been, like, thinking about the way that we're progressing with the shooting and the combat in the future. So, like, I definitely hear you, and I know why you would feel that way. But we have been working on those other features that you've been mentioning as well. You know, the more content. I know that a lot of people want to see a more variety of content, but the patrol content is something that we've got to focus on, because if we start splitting up into even more teams focusing on even more types of content, then you're not going to be seeing any changes in any updates. You're not going to be seeing new features. You know, one person making an entire new game mode, making new maps for ground combat, those things don't just take, you know, a month. It might take 3 months to get, like, all these things right. So we need to, basically, the way that we're progressing from now is just focusing on patrols, getting back to a stage where it's like a sustainable game mode that will draw people in all the time. And then we're going to be focusing on the next game mode, which might be PvP, or it might be, you know, more story missions, or it might be another kind of different content type, right? So, you know, I think that's the big thing, is we need to dedicate the resources to the one place, or else everything else gets diluted.
Why did you guys choose patrols? And the only reason I'm asking this is, and this is my personal opinion, I don't know if people agree with this, but I'm going to just say kind of how it is. Patrols are boring without an end game, right? The only reason people are going to be doing patrols is A, for the Astropher, and B, for the Ranger activity point. They're not particularly fun to play because they don't have an end game, right? Whereas PvP is infinitely fun and replayable because it's not, so mechanic. You could put all the RNG in to PvP you want, but unless you're balancing things like the Pioneer weapons or the Breeder's ultimate ability, you go in there with a Lancer, you're getting 0 kills. That's no fun, right? Unless you add things to the game like a healer class that can revive, and you don't make it infinite revives, unless you make it hard where people are actually failing. It's just they don't have a replayable factor. You could put 100 different patrol modes in there, and if your only incentive to play is the rewards, and there's no way to lose, and there's no ships that maybe one's a tank, one's a healing class, and one's a freaking DPS class, and they all have to, not should, do work together to complete it. It just becomes boring. I've been playing MMOs 25 years, right? And in all MMOs, there's roles that each of these classes have to do, 100% have to do, or you will not complete the patrol. You'll fail, and you'll have to start over. And the incentive is never in-game currency. That's not what people care about. They care about gear, perks, things like that, which I know are coming down the line. I get that. It's early in patrols, but if you're going to focus on patrols, there are things that are fundamentally necessary, like partying up, like having a party system, for instance, to even do it. Right now, I guarantee you 99% of patrols happen with 2 people because we have no party system. I mean, every once in a while I'll get in there with a 3-person patrol. I've never been in with a 4-person patrol.
So yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying, man, because like look, the next update you'll definitely be seeing more a larger differentiation between the game modes. Each patrol is going to be a different experience. At this stage, we aren't going to be adding in the party system. We're still working on that. But like, I think the big thing is you've raised a lot of points about the gameplay, which is exactly where we're going to be going in the future, right? Like, we're intending to have end games in the patrols. We're intending to have all these different factors that are going to make them more engaging and fun. But it's just something that is, we're still at the foundation level. We still are exploring and adding new features to it. I think in the next update, you're going to be seeing a lot of improvements. And as somebody who has been able to join the Leeds playtest, you can see that the leads are all thinking, okay, well, what are we going to do here? Like, this is where it's good, this is where it's weak. What can we do to encourage, more players to go in and enjoy the game mode? And I mean, we're definitely working on the gameplay and the content in there, because right now, you're right, it isn't very engaging, and that's because the content itself hasn't been developed to the scope that we want it to be. So it's going to improve over the next couple of updates.
But that's the cart before the horse. That's kind of why my question is, why are you focusing on patrols? Right now, you have a pretty good game mode for PvP. Even 1v1 inside the portal, it's pretty freaking fun. Anytime we get on this voice chat and we do, like, I don't know, 10-player PvP, we are screaming in here, having literally the best time of our lives. Literally nothing has to be added. A free-for-all PvP is fun with or without a party. A free-for-all PvP is fun with or without class system mechanics. But all these things that require a patrol to be fun, you're missing components to. But you're deciding to focus on patrol. If you want replayability, you want people posting clips of this online, dude, nobody's going to be posting clips of a patrol mission, right, with 2 players in it. Somebody gets in there, any of these gamers, any of these influencers get in there, and they jump into a 10-man PvP battle. All it has to be is a countdown timer in a lobby. I feel like that could have been programmed far easier than all the stuff that we're putting into patrol. You know what I'm saying? And the replayability is there. There's a reason to buy NFTs now. Heck, Dude, you're in a PvP with 10, 20 people. Oh, you don't want to look that gray look? Now you can actually look at people's patrol level. You can look at what level people are, who they are. You can chat with them. You can talk fans, games, fun. I'm just thinking, like, I agree with you 1,000%. It's like there are so much things that need to be done, and you guys are, it's an indie game company. I completely get it. I'm not trying to rush it. My question is why are we focusing on things that to be fun and have playability require things that aren't implemented yet, where now that we have a global chat, literally that was the only thing necessary besides a lobby for a great PvP game. And there's PvP is replayable on every game. Literally look at any MMO, look at any game, Call of Duty, Halo, people aren't coming back to play storylines. In MMO, people play instances for loot and gear. But otherwise, guess where they're at? They're in the PvP lobbies. I just
but
want
I
to jump
think
on that Craig, before we move on. I totally agree with PvP like as a focus, and I do think it needs a little bit, but I agree it would be less effort than perfecting patrols at this stage. Like you probably want to include some kind of kill counter, maybe like lives, small things like that. But I fully agree with what I'm hearing here from Rich on the PvP side. That's where 99% of my fun in the game has been, and that's where most of the replayability is at.
So from my understanding, it's actually a lot more technologically. There's a lot more work that would have to go into fully fleshing out the PvP than it would be to do patrols and make it a fun MMO experience, right? So I don't know the technical reasons. I don't know any of this because I literally raised this. I've always said to the team like, PvP is the most requested thing. This is what everyone wants to see developed more. But there were technical reasons that kind of meant that at the end of the day, we needed to kind of pick one, and the patrols was something that incorporated world building while also, not taking up as much resources, and something that we could turn around quicker than a fully fleshed out PvP game mode. Because if you look at Shrapnel and all these other Web3 games that are on, a PvP-esque thing, they have so many networking issues. They have so many different issues that occur, and we would have to spend. Basically, the design team had to make a decision between making patrols, which would be, take up less technological resources than PvP, which would take more resources and would also rely on having more players inside the instance. Because let's say, you've said that there's the experiences where you've had 10 people in there have been the best time. But realistically, and I'm not trying to shoot flame at PG or anything, but how often do you see 10 people in there?
Yeah, make it 4. I mean, if you took literally what you have for patrol, which by the way already has a lobby, it has a waiting lobby, that's been programmed. It already has an instance, that's been programmed. Disable the spawns for NPCs, enable PvP, and literally just let us use that for PvP. I mean, I would do 4-man PvP free for all day. You already have a kill counting system built for NPCs that nobody looks at. Like how hard would it be to switch those things over to a PvP? Like their systems are built.
Yeah, but I think that's the big thing, right? Is that would mean that we'd just be deserting one underdeveloped game mode to pick up another game mode and then putting in all that time and resources into a new game mode. And it would probably take another 6 months for you to see it being developed into the stage that will be patrols. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say that going and developing PvP is a bad idea. I fully agree with you. But it's just the reasoning was that we could make patrols into a more fun, sustainable game mode in a shorter period of time than we could with PvP. And then if we focus on that and we get behind that, we'll be able to then, shift our focus to PvP or other content types, right? I don't know the exact technological reasons why we have to do this, like why we went with patrols. But from my understanding, that is the main reason. And we basically built the game to be this kind of MMO game. So then changing the direction to a PvP zone before we've developed the MMO stuff. I don't know the exact reasons, but from my understanding, that's basically why it would take longer. I couldn't tell you the
I
exact reason.
mean, think about the things that we just discussed that need to be in Patrol to make it fun, right? It is a plethora of what you even said. That's a lot of things, right? PvP requires a lobby and a counter to 20 kills. Two things. I cannot fathom or wrap my head around how that's. And I'm not arguing with you, mind you. I'm just maybe saying this is something that we should bring to the team because I would challenge anybody who disagrees with me. Please speak up because I believe I'm speaking for 99% of the community here. I think it would be far easier to create a lobby, even if it's 4 players, 20 kills wins. That's it. You get a little bit of Asper, you get a little bit extra gold, whatever. Make the prizes be whatever it is. Then to have to do parties, balance the guns and games. Right now, the only things viable in Patrol right now is the breacher or the breacher or anything that holds a pioneer, the vet ships. Everything else is laughably dumb inside of Patrol, and you will get 0 kills, 0, because the one ship can solo it, right? So in order for patrols to be right, you have to balance weapons, you have to balance ship mechanics, you have to create a real party system, you have to create new, like you said, dozens of new types of patrols. You have to create these assets. I just don't see how that is easier than creating a lobby, a kill counter, and that's it. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm no programmer. I know programmers. I'm friends with a lot of Indians, but but I just it's hard to hear those words and not feel like somebody's lying to you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude or an asshole. I'm just saying it seems like from the community side inward, it seems like they made a decision, and despite what we're saying, the game designers are digging their heads into the sand because they want to focus on the patrol because it's their baby, rather than something that I truly believe would help the game out. Nobody's buying NFTs because they want to show off in a patrol, right? You can't even tell what level the players are. We get level 1 Jordans in those patrols all the time that go into a corner and fly AFK. There's not even things to prevent that. There has to be things to prevent that in a patrol, in a cooperative setting. Those systems need to be put in place. There's so many things that need to be programmed to make the patrol correct that I just don't see how that's going to be easier than creating a lobby, a kill counter, and a timer. I just don't see it.
And
Look, man,
I know we've
can't-
probably beaten this topic to death, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to throw out, like, if you did a tiny bit on PvP, just like you said, the very bare minimum, get it to the point simpler than patrols are even now, but just give one objective, like X number of lives or X number of kills, and then stop and go back to patrols, I think players would be thrilled. I think that would be kind of like the middle ground where you like give PvP something small that's pretty quick and easy to implement, and then move back to patrols and focus more on the detailed gameplay that you guys are talking about that is obviously going to be the future vision. But having that extra game mode will add a lot of replayability and joy in the meantime, so we don't lose players that we already have.
Yeah, I understand that. These decisions aren't made by me, but I can assure you that the design team, they have been listening to everything that the community says. They've been, in the Discord reading everyone's comments. They know, and Liam's trying to be a more active person in the Discord, and coming in and talking to you guys and discussing and answering your questions. But yeah, I think there were reasons behind this decision, and we need to focus on the core gameplay before we can start going into these other game modes. I don't know if there's any real at this stage there aren't any real plans to start diverting our resources into PvP yet, because the strides we're taking in patrols, they're quite good. We're quite comfortable with the rate at which we're developing this game mode. And I think that in the next one, you guys are going to see that it's going to become more replayable and more engaging. So yeah, I know that the decision to focus on PvE and patrols is not a particularly popular one, but I can assure you that we've weighed up the ups and downs of the decision before implementing it, and it wasn't just at a whim that we did it.
Hey, Mikata-chan had some things to say.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think we've kind of missed him.
So I guess not going to get a chance to speak, so I'll type it here. Is this one that you're talking about, Glam?
Yeah. Did you want to speak on mic, Mika, or just wanted the questions answered?
I'm happy to read it out. Alright. So, never meant flame for QA, and honestly no hate towards them. To be honest, it boils down to communication. If QA is upset they're getting heat, the simplest solution to this would have been to tell us that QA's actual role is at BFS, and that would have been that. The communication has been pretty bad overall, in my opinion, from BFS in terms of community questions, LP, all or nothing updates, NFT and planet value, planet emissions, etc. I get that being inside and looking out, you all see the vision of a path, but realize that we have nothing on our side other than hearing, trust me bro, and there's a reason for this. Yeah, and I completely understand that, Mikata-chan. It's my job to communicate with you guys, and I definitely feel as though it can be difficult because there's things that I can say and things that I can't say, and it does feel as though most of what I'm saying in the Discord is trust me, and we have a reason for this, and subject to change and everything. And I completely understand the community's frustration, but I suppose it's important to remember that we also have, especially things such as the liquidity pool, NFTs and planet value, planet emissions, etc. Those are decisions that are made by they're slow moving because we have to communicate with Animoca, and we have to kind of discuss these things and make sure that it matches with the plan that they have and the vision that they have. And I think that is the main reason why the communication seems to suck, is because things are constantly changing in relation to plans, etc. 1 week I'll be hearing one plan, and then the next week I'll be hearing another plan, and it's frustrating because I can't communicate these things. But even if I did, I'd have to then communicate, oh, we're actually going to be doing something else now. And yeah, I know it sucks, and I hope that you guys can understand that there's a lot of different reasons for us to not communicate things, right? Because lots of things, they're plans, and then they just don't come into fruition, I guess. But yeah, Mikata-chan, let me see if there's anything else he kind of said in this. Yeah, so I think the next question was kind of like a white paper. So yeah, there's been a lot of changes happening recently, and if you reread the light paper, you'll notice that we've had to make a lot of changes to the way that we approach things, and we do want to get the white paper out, and it has been over legal reviews, but we've also had to constantly change things in this draft and constantly change the direction of a white paper just because of different factors, I suppose. So we're trying our hardest to make sure that we can get all of these things done and the white paper out as soon as possible. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see what happens. What else? Sorry, there's probably a couple more questions in here. Who defined this as fun? Whether player focus groups, whether surveys, are you trying to push a product without wanting a consumer base? There may have been, but it would be nice to have transparency on how. So I suppose Mikata-chan there is asking if we have, what kind of information informed us into making the choice into focusing on patrols rather than PvP and other things. And realistically, we had to look at the resources that we had inside Blowfish Studios, and what we've already developed in the background. So the thing that we had made the most progress in, and the thing that we were basically making the most moves in, was the patrols. So we had to kind of reevaluate where we were going and look into that. So we decided to go into patrol focus and then hammer that out, get it to like a really good place, and then go on to the next game mode. And if you look at other games, they always have the first game mode, and then they have a second game mode. Fortnite, it had originally it was a completely different game, and then they brought out a battle royale game mode after they finished the other game mode, and that one shot off. So you probably could be completely right, and PvP is where we get the most games out of. But yeah, we just need to focus on one thing rather than trying to spend all of our time all over the place and going from one different project to another. And also, if you're putting something down and then re-picking it up, you might forget how to what you were doing with one certain asset. You might forget where you're up to with the code. It basically means that you're going to have to pick it back up and relearn from it. So yeah, I understand the frustrations around us not looking into PvP, but there were a lot of thought processes going behind why we went into patrols. And there weren't player focus groups, there weren't surveys. Those things take so much time as well. So you would have seen, if we put everything on hold and decided to start doing surveys and player focus groups for months, we wouldn't have been able.
You don't need that. All you have to do is get some of these main guys, like literally this group of people that are in here, minus Harass and a couple others that are consistent in here. You could do this with 15 guys. You know what I'm saying? And we would get it done in a day. You could throw us a Q&A, make a special channel for us, give us a title or tag under our name. And if your concern is, speed and getting these things done, I guarantee you, if you're like 24 hours, we have some questions for you. How you guys think about X, Y, or Z? Well, every single person on that thread will vote.
Right. Yeah, and I understand that. And but I think the thing is, like, I had already gathered everyone's opinions. I know exactly what you guys are thinking. Like, I spend every working day in the Discord. Sometimes on my days off, I'm watching what you guys are saying. I am very aware, and I've already reported all these things to people. So yeah, I know that it's frustrating that we didn't go with PvPs as our focus, but there were factors that kind of meant that patrols were the best way to do it. Beardy McBeardface asked, since we're speaking on patrols, please have the ability to queue/stay in the queue while leaving the halberd. Now that there's no activity points for dailies, we have to do the patrols. When we're waiting there, when there's no one there, we basically force it to our thumbs and hope someone shows up. And yeah, I understand that it can be very frustrating. That's annoying. There's nothing worse than having to stick around and wait. So yeah, I'm sure that we'll have to look into other ways to queue, etc. And yeah, as we continue to develop, I'm sure that you'll be seeing more quality of life things such as that. Yeah.
Any updates on the LP?
So, no, nothing, unfortunately. We had some plans around it, and then it was decided that was not the best course of action.
Did you see that 3,000 were traded last night and it dropped the price by 35%?
Yeah, and I understand that's the major issue. One of the major issues with having the liquidity pool not implemented is that the tokens, etc., they can basically any trading has massive effects on the price of Astropha. And I completely understand.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the major issue with having no LPs is that we cannot get new players. Because anybody that comes and looks at this game sees a rug, and nobody wants to join a project that looks like a scam. And even if you wanted to, say I was a whale and I wanted to buy 10 ships, there's not enough Astropher in the LPs for me to buy 10 ships without like 40% slippage. So you can't even get new players coming in and buying assets from Phantom Galaxies because they can't get access to Astropher. So while the price swings are concerning, the biggest issue is that without LPs, you can't even sell your products and get new customers.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree, and that's probably one of my biggest frustrations, right? I personally 100% agree with you, and Blowfish agrees with you. We wanted to get it up as soon as possible, but there's lots of different factors that mean that it's not just an open and shut case where we just put X amount of money into a, onto one of the secondary markets or whatever, a DX or a CX. So yeah, I understand completely that this delay, it's scary because realistically, the only thing that's kind of showing that we're not a rug pull is the fact that we're still developing this game. But yeah, and we can't onboard new players, and it affects everyone. And it's frustrating for all of us. I think that's a big thing. I completely understand. But there's nothing that we can do right
I think
now.
Midichan makes a good point. Like in the interim, until you guys get back on track with your Astropher, which really needs to happen sooner or later, if we just switch to USDC as the primary currency, that would probably help because then people could buy ships again on your website.
Yeah, or just Matic. But he's right.
Yeah.
If people come in to buy, I never even freaking thought of that. If you even 300, right? I'm trying to do 300 right now. It's 15%.
So if you want to buy a pilot and a ship, you got like a 20% cut on your money right there, and nobody wants to buy that. So if you wanted to buy 2 ships and 2 pilots, like it's just exponentially worse the more you want to buy.
And it gets even scarier if you actually go to the token polyscan and you look at what some of these whales are holding. It's real scary.
Well, and adding on just one more piece on that, so there was supposed to be a total of 7,800 ships, I think, and same with pilots. And so I know you guys are still selling out like the class 3, but that means there's like another 1 million Astropher worth of pilots and another 1 million Astropher worth of ships that need to be sold before you sell out of your origin fleet. And you're never going to sell 1 million Astropher with the LP situation we have right now. So it's like your NFTs will never sell out.
Yeah. No, I that is very much a factor that we're aware of, and it's something that we're working very hard to restore the LP, right? Because this affects us just as much as it affects you guys, and it's frustrating, but we're trying our hardest and we're trying to move forward with it. And I'm always hopeful that we'll be able to get it out soon. But yeah, and I really like the suggestion of just changing it to Matic or changing it to USDC. I honestly think that that's a fantastic idea that I'm going to claim as my own and tell Ben myself. I'm going to steal it, Ben.
Yeah, that's fine. Steal the idea, whatever. Just make sure you include the caveat that it's until they fix it.
I am the new tokenomics.
We still need the Astropher eventually, yeah.
No, I completely understand. Yeah, it's probably something that I'll definitely be taking that and floating it past the team because that's a really good point. I scrolled into a bit where there's some love for me and Glam, and I appreciate you boys. Yeah, I think the biggest thing, right, is the frustrations you guys express. We also feel them as well, right? We want everything to be as done as quickly as possible. We want everything to be Phantom Galaxies to be the Web3 gem.
We don't want to manage the game that people can't join. That's that's not our dream. And we simply want the game to be as fun and as successful as possible. And as you pointed out, all these things are working against that currently. And it's not where we want to be. But thank you for the support and the love. This community's been nothing but supportive and understanding since the beginning. So thank you.
Well, it was funny, Glam, when you were saying that Q&A gets the brunt of it. I'm like, do you guys not look in the mirror because you guys get the brunt of it? It's like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, I mean, it's not about you guys, and we know for like the most part, like we hear you gag for like I can almost hear you wanting to just be like, yeah, fuck it, let's just tell them what it is, but you're being gagged from behind, and we get that, but I think it's frustration all around because it's like the man behind it's like the Wizard of Oz. It's the man behind the smoke shield, right? I mean, I think any of us here would pay serious money for Ben or Liam to be on this call right now and to hear this out, because this is the stuff that is important, and they need to know that it's not just you two, bringing it to them as like, maybe it's a little bit of your idea, maybe it's this, that these are serious concerns that the community at large is having.
Yeah, and they are aware of these things, right? And well, last Friday we had our Christmas party. It was a little bit delayed, and yeah, basically, I had a really good opportunity to chat with Ben and Liam over a beer, and they're all very aware of these things, and they all know and are aware of them, and they want to be able to get the game and the LP and the Web3 side of things to the finish line. But I think it's just it's going to be a gradual process. I think that's the biggest thing that we need to remember, right? Is we can't get everything finished immediately. I think that's the big thing. Yeah, so there's also a comment from Vex saying, get someone from Animoca in on the Starside Chat. I would really love to see, be able to brag about bringing Yat onto Starside Chat. That'd be sick. But look, it's one of those things where they have so many subsidiaries and so many different projects that it's difficult to get their time for these kind of public-facing things. A lot of the public-facing things they do, it's the Animoca Brands podcast. It's their own kind of public-facing initiatives, and I'm sure eventually they'll probably come on and be able to be more public facing in the PG community, but it is not going to happen anytime soon. It would take a lot of preparation and a lot of nagging from me, I think. So I'll try to see what I can do, and see if we can get anyone from Animoca to come and discuss things with the community. But I wouldn't hold my breath over it, I suppose, just because they're such a big organization with so many different projects doing different things.
Well, there's little things that they can do to support us as well. A big, for instance, is if you go to Mochaverse. I don't know if anybody here plays the Mochaverse thing, right? But a lot of their other projects, if you hold an NFT of their other projects and you go into the Mochaverse, you can play as that NFT. And I don't understand why I can't go into Mochaverse and play as a PG character, play as one of my mechs, play as one of my pilots. You can do it with whales and a bunch of other defunct, non-worthwhile projects, and these projects are selling NFTs every day, just because people don't want to walk in to the Mochaverse with a standard skin. Like you could push NFT prices just by implementing a Mochaverse character. Like there's small things that can be done that way.
Yeah, and collaboration such as that is something that we are definitely working on, in the background as well. And I think that's another reason why the progress with some of these updates and some of these features that you want to see, get delayed, is because we're doing this side work as well, trying to get the interoperability and stuff as well. So, it takes time, and I would definitely say that's something that we have on our radar.
Can I just throw out, sorry, I was just looking on CoinMarketCap, and I remember the whole reason we had our LPs pulled originally was because the GME token got hacked. Mm-hmm. We had a shared LP with them. And I'm looking on theirs, and I don't know that this is all from Animoca or how it all works, but they've got a 700,000 liquidity pool. and we have a $5,000 liquidity pool. So like, I'm just confused why our token was not the one that was hacked, and yet we're still dealing with this like 4 months later, and they have their token back up and running, and everything's hunky dory, like it never happened. Like, it's just, I think that's where a lot of the hate and frustration comes from, is that we see these other projects that are not as high quality moving a lot faster and better in some of these important areas like tokenomics, white papers. And I know I'm not trying to, beat this into death, but I know you guys are dealing with legal and whatever else, but it just really kind of makes it look like Animoca does not support the project and that they're potentially like going to pull the plug or something. So everyone's getting like really stressed and frustrated about that, I think.
No, and I completely understand your concerns and frustrations around it. We still have very close ties with Animoca, and there's still a lot of people that are working on it. And I think a lot of people in the Animoca company, they do see the quality and the value that Phantom Galaxies has in the Web3 space, because it's basically kind of a prime example as to how you can develop a good Web3 game. I'm not trying to shit on any other Web3 project, but like, have you seen some of them? In relation to the gamey thing, the reason why they responded to that so quickly, I suppose, is because they needed to do a relaunch and they needed to do a large campaign around it, and I suppose that's the main reason why they got so much more attention for the LP pools. And yeah, I really hope that we are able to get these the LP up as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to me.
No,
just
I
relaunch our
completely-
token then, right? Just make a new answer for it, don't give it to the hacker. Like, it just seems so simple in my head, but at the same time, I understand that it's a big corporation and you personally are not the ones to blame on it, but like, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
When the game that was actually hacked is the one that's been recovered. And then this one, it's just,
No, I hear you and echo some of those frustrations. But yeah, also I've noticed Glam has written a few things in the chat that I would like to echo. So we know this and are constantly striving to be able to give you this information. 100%. That's one of the biggest things I'm doing constantly is, trying to get the information out, evaluating whether the information is going to be valid in a week. These kind of things. So, we are trying our hardest to get this information out. It's my number one priority. It's my job, and I like to think I'm quite good at it. And also, Glam says, "Thanks so much for your thoughts on PvP versus patrols. Your points make nothing but sense. Trust me, bro. These are other thoughts that have been shared with the team, and they're aware. So yeah, it's not falling on deaf ears, and we are definitely echoing these to the team, etc." All right, we have 2 minutes left, and I believe Glam Man has some comments of the week. I will read back this chat, and I will try to answer everything that is in the chat that I haven't been able to answer in this Starside Chat. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining us, and Glam, take it away.
Comment of the week. Comment of the week. Comment of the week.
Yo. Okay.
Yo.
How is this for a control surface? It's like a robot hand thing. You guys can all see this, right? Yeah, incredible. I need to get this. It would definitely help me in PvP and community clash. Get more than at least one kill. Look at it. I've noticed too a little bit of sanitizer next to the controller there too. So obviously, health smart as well. So fantastic.
Hygiene's
Get me one of
key.
those. Barker, you know what to get me for Christmas now?
Yeah, some hand sanitizer.
Cool. Yo, Rich.
Let's go. Finally.
Oh, the female collection.
Aren't
They're all
they
out there.
beautiful?
Oh,
I mean, listen, I'm not Mr. NFT on the beach with any of them, but they still look good in my wallet.
awesome. Congratulations. You've got the whole set. Yeah, very cool. I'm very jealous. Well done. And then Moon. Liam in the wild. I hope you gave him some, Moon. Was there any advanced maneuvering or anything from our mate, or is he just kind of just holding the line? But well, let us know in the chat if he displayed any special tactics or anything like that. Cool. And then Rich is back, exploring planets this time. Yeah, that is a really cool looking planet. What do you think? I mean, obviously we can't use them yet, but I reckon it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, anytime there's new planets and areas, that's pretty exciting. That, along with the chat, I'll be honest, was some really good stuff on the updates. I know we trashed the update, but it did have some good things.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that was my comments of the week. I think I've been away for the last couple of weeks, haven't I? So sorry everyone for being absent, but I have missed you all. Don't you worry about that. And that has been
Comments of the week.
All right, thank you all so much. I'm absolutely starving. It's my lunchtime, so I'm going to be off for an hour off Discord. I appreciate all of you guys joining us. It's been a really good Starside chat. We got into some deep conversations, and I hope that I was able to, spread some love, get some good vibes out there. I know that the communication, it does need to improve, and we're trying our hardest. And we also hear all the feedback, etc., and we understand that patrols are not really the direction that a lot of people see PG going in, but I really believe that we're going to be benefiting from it in the long run, because the time and effort and the love that's been going into it, it's going to be so good. So yeah, all the love, boys, and I hope that we will see you next week. All right, ciao.
see you, everyone.
Love you guys. Don't take any of this as hate towards you two. We love you.
No, thank you, and that's you. You are the reason that we do what we do, and sometimes it gets hard, and we know that you've got our back. So thank you.
100%. I'm just passionate. My voice sometimes comes off as assholey, which anybody knows if they've ever seen me type. So it's just my personality. I love you all.
We know that's not you. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Take care.
Ciao, boys. Bye.